movie starts with a young boy, maybe 2 years old, lying on his mother, just hugging her and fast asleep. And suddenly he hears a noise at the door, and then he realizes that somebody's shouting from outside to ask him to open the door. So he goes, opens the door, and he goes out, and he sees a man standing there. And he just orders him out of the little hut, and he goes and stands in the rain while this man goes in. And in about half a minute he comes out saying that, "Don't you know that your mother is dead?" So the poor child is just looking stupefied. He has no idea what death is. He's too small to understand the concept of death. So that's how the movie Kadal starts. Mani Ratnam's latest offering, with Gautam Karthik as the hero, and in a manner of speaking, Tulsi Radha Nair as the heroine. Both well cast. They look their age and they pulled off what they should. The movie basically is the eternal fight between good and evil. Good and evil being represented by the two other major characters in the movie. One played by what's his name? Arvind Swamy, making his, I guess, second comeback, and the other played by Arjun, who's been a hero all this while. He normally used to allow his fist to do all the talking, but here he does his he allows his acting and his lines to do the job. Now, one represents good, one represents evil. I won't go into the details of who and why prompted them to go their separate ways, but they have been known to each other for many years, and it's a fight between them which goes on in a small fishing, I wouldn't say small, a fishing village located somewhere on the Tamil Nadu coast. And the object of their tussle is a young boy, very young, the same child who you saw in the beginning. The opening has been shot so dramatically, it's hard to believe that that child was actually an actor. It almost looked like it was a real life scene that the child was put through. All in all, a phenomenal beginning to this wonderful movie. Its scope is large. The story is on a huge scale with lots of characters and sweeping shots of the sea and the coast and many visuals that haven't been seen before in Indian cinema. For example, the final confrontation between the villain and the hero is shot on the deck of a fishing boat, and you can see that it was authentically done. Apparently there was the cyclone Neelam which had hit the eastern coast of India, and this shooting was going on at that time, and the producers, the director and cameraman decided to use that opportunity to get some unique footage of the sea. So it's really dramatic, and you can see that it's not one fake little thing made in a little tub with miniature boats or computer graphics. It's the real thing. You can see the fishing trawler, like battling up the waves and plunging into the troughs, and then the spray flying, and the power of the sea is brought in. Power and majesty, we could call it, of the sea has been captured very dramatically. Wonderful movie, all said and done. And if you've been hearing the comments in the press, or maybe even television, on YouTube too, saying, Mani Ratnam has lost it, I don't know what he was all up to, the story is the same old story, and that there's brought nothing new to it. It's complete bunkum. Believe me, it is a fabulous movie. You can just settle into your seat and you'll get to 2 hours of, maybe at times a slow pace, but everything doesn't have to be running at frantic pace. You don't have to have 500 cuts to make it move faster. It's a story that is conveying. But the battle that goes on every day around the world of good over evil, or evil triumphing occasionally over good. But this is a marvelous movie, and I even would say that this ought to be our entry for the Oscars this year, for 2-3 reasons. One, it makes a mockery of our cinema. If we send movies like Barfi for the Oscars, I mean, that was pathetic. I don't know which demented man thought of that story, but okay, let it be. Somebody decided that we need a star-studded movie to go to represent India, so be it, so they sent that. But in the kind of category where Indian films would fall, this movie Kadal would be perfect. First of all, the story is about Christianity. It's been much maligned in India, and people abroad have now come to the conclusion that all Christians are harassed, and of course there was some violence against them. But it also is a fact that Christianity has been around for hundreds of years or even thousands of years, and nobody knows that. So this will be an eye-opener for all sorts of people around the world to know how India is, and that its secular fabric is not torn and shredded with all the constant reports that we hear in the press. So it will have an instant connect. It will resonate with audiences around the world, and I would even imagine the jury which goes out to select these pictures would find it an interesting new angle on how Christian communities live in other parts of the world other than the West, the Christian West. So all in all, I think it would be a good entry, and I really do hope it does go there, and of course, consequently win. So the movie, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. All characters have done a great job, and I think we need more movies like this instead of the eternal, gunfights and fisticuffs that happens. Here's a movie with hardly any violence, and if there's any violence, it's shot very briefly and just to the point. The music, as usual, Rahman doesn't let anyone down. There was one very unique song, which was, there was a Negro's spiritual, like a blues kind of lament kind of song, very slow groove, to which a couple of bare-bodied dancers are dancing. It's almost like a Negro spiritual from the days of when they were slaves in the United States. Maybe the use of that track or that particular style was to compare the conditions of those poor slaves of those years, along with the equally entrapped souls in these coastal villages where people don't get any attention and they just live a wild life. So all in all, it's a wonderful movie, and I say just go and see it. Kadal.